Hi, this is Ron Darling.
This is Skip Lockwood.
Hi, I'm Ron Swoboda of the 69 New York Mets, and you're listening to Mets Musings with Gary Mack.
Now it's time for some New York Mets baseball talk. Here's Gary Mack bringing you the latest news and analysis from Mets Nation and the world of baseball on another edition of Mets Musings.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Mets Musings, the first one in 2025. Hope you all had a great holiday season, and we are so happy to be back and to give you more Mets news. Now, I have to warn you, there's not a lot of things going on, but we've got some news and some opinions that we'd like to get out there, so let's get started. And you know what? Likes and comments are an easy way for you to help get things. I can't even read. Three, two, one. Hello and welcome to another edition of Mets Musings. It's the first edition of 2025. I hope you all had a great holiday season, and now it's time to get back into the hot stove and talk about Mets baseball. Not a lot of stuff going on, I'm going to warn you, but we do have some news. But before we go into that, let me just remind you that likes and comments are easy things to do to help get these videos to a wider audience. So please take a second and let me know how I'm doing and hit the subscribe button. Yeah, that's all you got to do. Hit that button. It's totally free and it really helps me get an idea of what I'm doing wrong and what I'm doing right and whether you like the show or not. And according to YouTube analytics, about 90% of people watching this aren't subscribed. So please subscribe to the channel and enjoy the videos, and give me a like and leave a comment if you will. All are appreciated. Okay, it's official. Finally, we spoke about this in the last show or two shows ago, I'm not sure which, about David Wright. David Wright's going to have his number 5 in the rafters. It's going to be retired. I guess there's no rafters in an open stadium, but you know what I mean. It's going to be up there with the rest of the retired numbers on July 19th. It's a 4:10 Eastern time start, and it's against the Cincinnati Reds. So David Wright number and his induction into the Mets Hall of Fame will take place officially. The Mets announced it July 19th. David Wright's only the second person to have his name and inducted his number retired and the induction into the Hall of Fame on the same day. The first, of course, being the great Tom Seaver. So congratulations to David Wright on getting that honor. And it's pretty cool. And he was the captain and he was deserved. Look, if you look at his numbers, his early numbers especially, he was on a career path to Cooperstown for the Baseball Hall of Fame. Injuries caught up with him. His back caught up with him, and his last few years were not very good, the numbers. So it's really a shame. You hate to see something happen like that to somebody, but the Mets are recognizing him, and that's a great honor in itself. And at least he got to play in a World Series and to hit a World Series home run, and one that mattered. And so that's, all thrills. It's something that nobody can take away from you. Okay, and the Mets are still shopping around, and they are looking at relief pitchers. Andy Martino of SNY reported that they're talking to or looking at some of the high-end relievers, and there's a better chance that they might sign a high-end reliever rather than a high-end starter pitcher. So they're talking to Tanner Scott. Reports have them talking to Tanner Scott, the lefty who for the Marlins and the Padres, who had a really good year. The last couple of years has been pretty good, and the Mets could use a high end guy like him in the bullpen. And what a end of the game combination that would be between Tanner Scott and Edwin Diaz. It would be very reminiscent of Jesse Orosco and Roger McDowell back in the 80s. So that's a good combination to have. Either guy can close, and they're both excellent pitchers. So Mets are talking could go in that direction. No signings announced as of yet. As far as Pete Alonso situation, this gets crazier and crazier by the day. Some reports have him going to different teams. 8 teams, according to Bob Nightingale of USA Today, are interested. The Angels and the Giants are two of those teams. The Mets are one of them, of course. The Red Sox and Blue Jays could have some interest in it, and a couple of dark horse teams. Then I read another report that had I forget who the reporter was, but the reporter was predicting that he was going to go to Seattle. Crazy part about that was that he was going to sign a 3-year deal for $90 million. That this is what they were predicting Seattle would offer him. Well, 3 years at 90 million sounds awful familiar, doesn't it? It sounds like the same numbers that the Mets offered him. Reportedly, the Mets offer on the table right now is 3 years, $90 million with opt out clauses. So if Mr. Alonso took his same offer to go to Seattle, that would tell you something about Mr. Alonso. Maybe he doesn't want to play in New York anymore. I don't know. It's all speculation and rumors at this point. So we'll just have to wait and see how it all plays out. But I thought that was pretty interesting that that had come up. And it just struck me as an odd circumstance that it would come up at this point in time. But we'll see how it all shakes out. Now, apparently, Scott Boras, the agent for Pete Alonso, is using or is trying to use the Prince Fielder contract of 2012 as his model. Now, that contract was for 9 years. I think it was $216 million. And nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to offer Pete that long a contract or that high of money. So I think Scott Boras is kind of barking up the wrong tree here. It just doesn't work out. I mean, at the time, Prince Fielder was 28 years old. Alonso is 30. So Fielder was 2 years younger. His numbers were way better at that point in time. His OPS numbers were way better than Pete Alonso's are. Excuse me. So I just think it's a bad comparison to make. He should have been building off of more of Freddie Freeman's contract, or the Atlanta first baseman's contract. That would have been more of a scale to go off of. But to go off of something like the Prince Fielder contract is way too many years and too much time, and nobody wants to pay it. Nobody wants the. I don't think it's with the Mets. It's not the money; it's the years. They don't want to go beyond 3 or 4 years. Now, I could see them going to 4 years and making that offer, but they're going to wait it out because they want to take as little time or as much time and pay out as little as they can to him to keep him hungry or whatever. I don't know, but the ball is in Alonso's court. If he wants to stay in New York, he should take the 3 years at 90 or maybe shoot for 4 years at 120 and take the money and run. Look, he's made, probably $60 million or more already. How many generations of your family do you want to set up? I mean, if you have some smart investment guys working with you, and I'm sure that he does, you could be set up pretty good for the rest of your life and your children's lives and your grandchildren's lives. We're not talking about chump change. We're talking about $30 million a year. So you take it with an opt-out clause, go out and have a big year. And I think I said this in last week's show. Go out and have a big year, then you opt out. And then see if you can get a longer term contract. If you have a bad year, you still got a contract for $30 million or possibly 60 million waiting. So it's kind of a win-win situation for me. I would take I would take the 3 years at 90 million with a 1 year buyout, opt out. And it's essentially a 1 year contract. And if you can get an opt out after the second year as well, then you may look at it as 3 1 year contract. But at least if you have a big year, then you can go and see and say, hey, I'm not declining. I just had a couple of rough seasons, but now I got back on track and I'm still coming into my own. How about 2 more years at 70 million or something and extend the contract? Or maybe the Mets should go to 4 years, 120 with an opt out after 2 years. He can opt out. That way, at least they're guaranteed of 2 years. And he gets a chance to opt out at the age of 32. It's all very technical at this point, but he's got a decision to make. I think part of Pete's problem the last few years, too, is playing in too many games. I think they need to find a way to limit his playing time to maybe 145 to 152 games, something like that. Some of that time he could DH. Some I would sit him out completely. I wouldn't play him at all. And if they got if it's a blowout game, either way, pull him out and rest him. Now I know he wants to play every inning of every game. I know all of these guys want to do that, but as you all get older, you can't do necessarily that. And I think that playing in all those games is taking its toll on him. Playing in the All-Star game is okay, but I think the home run derby takes its toll on you too. Now I know there's people out there going, how can it take a toll? All he's doing is swinging at the ball. You go out, make 100+ swings on a hot July night, and let's see how tired you are the next day. It's just the wear and tear, and it's the July and August that really wears down some of these players. And that's when, that's why sometimes you see a player get red hot again in September. The weather cools down, he revives a little bit. It's the dog days of summer, July and August. And those are the times when they should try to find to rest him more. Play Vientos over at first base if you want to for a couple of games. Or a Brett Beatty if he's still here, or even Acuna, or just to get the guy off the field if he comes back. Now, all reports seem to suggest that the ball is in his court. It's up to him. He's got to decide, does he want to come back? Take the money on a lesser deal, or does he still want to shop around? It doesn't, I know they say that there's 8 teams, but there doesn't seem to be a market for what Boras is asking. And that's the problem. There's not a market for a long-term deal. It seems like 3 years is going to be the tops. So, like I said before, maybe the Mets should go to 4 and get him into camp, and so they can go forward with their plans. Not that they're sitting back and not making further plans. They're making plans. They're talking to relief pitchers, as I said. They're talking to more people. But just to get this out of the way, maybe go the extra year and get the opt out after 2 years. So they know that they're not going to pay him 1 year and then lose. Though there is an interesting situation with Toronto where Vladimir Guerrero becomes a free agent next year. So maybe you want to give him a 1 year opt out. If he opts out, you sign Guerrero. I don't know. We'll have to see. There are all kinds of crazy rumors out there about Guerrero being traded to the Mets. Then they wouldn't have to sign Alonso, but then you got to sign Guerrero next year. So 6 of one, half dozen of the other. There's also trade rumors about Luis Castillo in Seattle coming here. So lots of rumors and speculation still going around, but nothing solid at this point. All right, let's take a break here and come back right after this message.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for interesting baseball talk, opinions, and history.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for barbecue recipes, tips, and interviews from the world of barbecue. If you like baseball and if you like barbecue, then tune in to Baseball and BBQ. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and BaseballTalkRadio.com.
And we're back. And I was just checking the different sites to see if there was any breaking news, and did notice that the Washington Nationals have signed Ahmad Rosario to a 1-year deal for $2 million. So it's nice to see Ahmad catching on. He'll be back in the NL East, and let's just hope he's not a thorn in the side of the New York Mets, as so often happens when guys leave and they go to the other league. And he bounced around a little bit now, but he will be back in the NL East with the Washington Nationals. So congratulations to Ahmad Rosario. And Luis Angel Acuna is tearing it up in the Venezuela League, the professional league, and he has been named one of 3 finalists for their Rookie of the Year award. So he's having a great offseason. Luis Angel Acuna, his name is popped up as even in trade talk, though I don't think the Mets are apt to trade him after the he had a good showing last year in the majors. I think he hit in a very limited 14 games, or 14 appearances, I should say. He hit, I believe, 308 with 3 homers and 6 RBI. So Acuna showing that he can play in the big leagues on a very, very small scale. He needs more time to see, what the true numbers are, but he looked good. Stepped in for Lindor and didn't miss a beat. His fielding was terrific. Didn't look scared at all, and looked pretty decent. So he could be a factor at second base this year with Jeff McNeil. McNeil could be moved. Acuna could be moved. Anybody, Beatty could be moved. And don't forget Ronnie Maurizio. He's coming back this year, so we'll see. He is participating in baseball activities. They say he should be ready for spring training, yet to be seen. My guess is that Maurizio will probably start the year in AAA, but you never know. You just never know. We'll have to wait and see. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll join us. And as I said earlier, please leave a like and a comment if you're watching on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe. We need all the subscribers we can get. And it's a simple and easy thing to do. And it keeps you in touch and know when another episode of the show is coming out. So, until next time, remember, keep the faith, stay optimistic, and let's go, Mets. And I'm Gary Mack, and I'll see you next time on another edition of Mets Musings.